you use it for. And I'm going to show you a good way to use it after. But we also need to have balance in our lives, not just computer, because the internet is plagued. Anybody can put anything about anything on there, so you have to be careful. But also we need this culture of encounter, where we actually spend time with people. Monica, do you have anything to add to this, or?
Not about the internet, I think it was covered. But I'd like to add to the question. I just like to say that God created our mortal bodies in an amazing and unique way, and saw that it was good. But through sin, our bodies are subject to sicknesses and weaknesses, and so people have many questions sometimes. Well, why does this go on and we get sick and everything's bad? And it's through sin. But Jesus paid for our sins through His death, and our resurrected bodies will not be subject to decay. So I'm sorry my answers are so short, but I've never done this before.
That's great. Jennifer, do you have anything to add? And you'll add something first. Okay.
This is the technological age. We've had many revolutions, and I think this is the new world with technology. When your child teaches you how to use a computer and tells you that you're doing it the wrong way, then you know you've got a problem. That said and done, in the hospital, because I find it from my perspective as a nurse, we have gone into computers in a big way. So much so, a patient comes into the hospital, 3/4 of the time, while you're interviewing the patient, you're not looking at the person's face. You're looking at your computer screen and entering information. Anybody, and I'm sure everybody's been to emergency or to one of the wards, you feel that you're not even present. They're asking these questions and their heads are down. I sometimes tell people, I said, look at the patient's face. The person may be turning blue and you do not realize it because all you're doing is looking at your screen. I think it's become so destroying to some extent, because that personal touch where you're actually looking at the person, communicating with the person, understand what the person's saying, reading the eyes of the person. The eyes are really a big part of what a person feels and what's going on in their lives. Suffering can be seen in the eyes but may not be verbalized. So if you look at a person, you may see the suffering or the pain in the eyes. And to bring that into context, when people come up for communion, I always try to make that eye contact, because very often people will smile and give you a hey, but there are people whose eyes are really sad, and I feel for them. That it is important that we look at a person not just by their physical appearance. In a hospital, you come with people with all different backgrounds. I mean, some are rich, some are extremely poor, they're off the street, some are well-dressed, some don't have enough clothes on their back, in winter even. Some are of different cultures or different faiths, or even have a problem with their identity in terms of transgender. And it is important that we respect the person as a child of God, whether we understand how or what makes them move or act, that we treat them with respect, because God has created them in His image and likeness. It's very important to show respect, especially when you have different views from another person. And it's very hard. I know we had my own experience, a person who was transgender, and he was very upset because he was turning into a woman, and he was being put in the papers as Mr. So-and-so, and he says, I'm not a Mr. So-and-so. I'm now a woman. I should be a Mrs. And they kept on insisting, and he was very agitated. And I turned around and I said to them, he is a Mrs. Put it down as a Mrs. and that's it. Then I went behind the scenes and I said, separate bathroom, separate room, because this gentleman has his dignity to maintain. He can't go to the women's change rooms and he can't go to the men's change rooms. He has to have a separate room for himself where he feels comfortable. And he came to me afterwards and he thanked me, and he had been through many surgeries during this change. And he told me, he says, "You're the first person who has treated me like a human being." And that really touched me, because I thought, I don't agree with transgender, and I do not agree with some of the way gay people behave, with the gay parades. I do not agree with that. But as a human being, we have to respect that person, and he thanked me for that. So we have to look at the person, and we do have to realize that the pain people go through is part of the salvation of souls. When we united with the suffering of suffering of Christ on the cross. Jesus was the Son of God, and he suffered. Are we going to be let off the hook? If we believe in Jesus, I think we are going to go through our own suffering, our own personal suffering, whether it be in form of body, mind, or spirit. We are going to go through our suffering. But we do know one thing: if we are faithful to the covenant with God, he will be there to be with us every step of the way, helping us. And we all know that footsteps, the story of footsteps, when you cannot carry the burden, Jesus carries it for you. But we have to realize that we have to be faithful. And faithfulness, because it's a covenant with God, are we always faithful? No. But we do have the opportunity to say we're sorry. We do have the opportunity to get God's forgiveness and mercy.
Thank you for sharing all of these different experiences, and especially thank you, Jennifer. Your most recent discussion sort of leads into the next aspect of the question that I was hoping we could highlight as well. So the final question, or the final part of question number 2 is there a message of hope for believers, and how can such a tremendous truth of faith be shared with those who do not believe? So, as we mentioned today, often our culture is approaching an aspects of faith and life, especially regarding the use of the body and human dignity. So perhaps, do we have any thoughts amongst our panel about how we can share the truths of our faith, especially in regards to our bodies, with those in the secular culture and those in the world, or those who agree with us in part, or perhaps not at all? I'll put you on the spot.
Well, I'm going to quote St. Augustine again, who said, hope is love. We are a people, as a church community, a people of hope. Because we are mortal, because we have our limitations, we can't quite fathom the incarnation, not completely. I'd like to picture God maybe as a kindly old man, or maybe see Jesus, as the guy with the beard, not beard, holding the child on his lap. But really, I can't fathom, because I'm only mortal. So hope is what I have to go on. But I do know how to love as well. So somewhere between hope and love is God. And he is the ultimate of the love. So to answer that question, you have to have hope if you are a true believer of God and partaking our faith.
How do you share it?
How do you share it?
How do you share the hope?
You live a good life. You try and put your best foot forward, even when it's the hardest thing you have to do. You have to keep searching for the good. In fact, if I can, one of my mentors from the School of Theology is that we are always a searching, wandering people. And we have to keep remembering that, because just when you think you've got it all, you don't. You don't have anything. So I think for non-believers, you put your best foot forward every single day. I tell my students at Cardinal Newman, you know what? Wear that uniform as much as you hate it. and give that old lady at Fortino's a reason to say, you know what, those kids from Newman, they're not bad, they're nice kids. And people will start relating that to your Catholic culture as well. I don't wear a cross. And I don't wear a cross, maybe I should. Should wear it proudly. I go to Mass, I have the sacraments, I try and show my family what it means to live my faith. But are we all living our faith as best that we can? And not only the best we can, but let's shake us up a little bit. And doing things that are uncomfortable, my goodness. It's so easy just to sit back and say, Christine?
That's what I've been doing. Thank you.